Hey everybody, welcome. It's Karmen Lizzul from the Law of Attraction Center, and I've got Karmen Lizzul here from MissIntrovert.com. And I'm so excited because we're going to be talking about dating and relationships and all that good stuff. So Karmen, welcome. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Yay. No, it's great. I really wanted to do this series of interviews because it's, February right now. Some of you might be listening in the future, but Valentine's Day happens, as soon as February hits, everybody's just like, oh, Valentine's Day. And people, there's a lot of people who are looking for a date, who are not dating, who are alone. And, it's been a while for me. But I just remember like it was yesterday, because it was just such a hard time in my life. And the time when I was not dating anybody and didn't have anybody in my life. But that's why I'm bringing the experts in, is to talk about what is it like now to date and how do you do that? And is there hope? Really, I always believe there's hope, but is there hope? So Karmen, so that's why I have you here. But so your website is MissIntrovert.com. So tell me about that. Why is dating as an introvert different, and why did you pick this group of people to help?
Well, yeah, that's an awesome question. So I picked introverts because I am an introvert, and I felt that. First of all, I was coaching, just general life coaching, a lot of career coaching. And I noticed that the people that were drawn to me, the women, were mostly women, first of all.
Sure.
And mostly introverts. And I worked with a few women on relationship stuff. And, having been in the coaching field for a while, like, I know that there's a lot of information out there about dating that's very general. And being an introvert is like, like, some of the dating advice just doesn't work for introverts. Like, right. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to sit in the middle of the bar and, talk to everybody and, be like the, flirt in the center of the room, because that's just not who they are. It's right. Not what they want to do. It's not fun for them. So if that stuff's not fun for you and all that dating information out there is kind of like telling you how to do that, it's going to be a challenge. And sure. I definitely help my, introverted clients, like, step out of their comfort zone. Like, you have to get out of your living room.
Yeah.
But it's just a different way of looking at dating and, like, really appreciating who you are as an introvert, because you have a lot of gifts to give in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. In just basic law of attraction is you can focus on what you want, but you still have to take action. Right. So it's not likely that, a guy's going to land on your couch just because you've been, visualizing him. Right. So,
yes, exactly.
Right. And like you say, I expect it's probably, very hard for introverts to get out and take that action, because that's just not who they are, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, introverts will have a lot of, like, extroverted female, girlfriends, and, like, they'll go out, like, a group of women, like, let's say, to meet guys or whatever, or just a night out on the town, and, like, a lot of times, like, introverted women will kind of fall behind because they don't want to, like, compete for attention. Like, that's just, like, hell for them, and sure. They don't think it's fun, and then, like, the extroverted girls are just, like, all over it,
Right.
So, it is a challenge. And sure. Yeah, of course, like, the law of attraction totally fits in, because if you kind of have this, like, negative feeling about dating or going out in general, like, it's not going to attract, like, the love you want.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're actually out and you're hating the situation, right, and you're wanting to hide, of course, that's not putting out that energy of just, again, you're not attracting in. You might, I guess you probably could be attracting in other introverts, right? And other introverted men, because they get that. But yeah, it's just like it's almost like you're hiding, right?
yeah, it's like hiding in plain sight,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And like, I've had my own challenges as an introvert. Like, I know what that's like. Like, I know what it's like to just go out and just like, literally, like, I think I had a special talent for disappearing. Like, I would literally just disappear, even though I was there, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and absolutely. I'd actually talk about that for people in different ways, but it's almost like in Harry Potter, he puts the invisibility cloak over, and it's just that, and it's almost like we do that because we're not emanating that energy because we've withdrawn that energy in. Right. And so you're right. It's like, people can be invisible even though they're right there. So yeah, I totally get that. So, so what does it take to be successful and to be attracting the person that you want to date, like as an introvert? What does that take?
Right. Well, it is, I do have like a sort of a step-by-step process, like I take my clients through. So, we kind of start with like self-love, because as you know, with like the law of attraction, like if you're not like loving yourself, like who's going to love you? Right. So we have to like dismantle all those like limiting beliefs and negative ideas some of them are about being an introvert. Like, some people, like like some of my clients, like they're just like, well, I'm an introvert and I'm never going to meet anybody. Like that's like kind of their general attitude. Like, I don't like going out. Like, I don't like doing this. Like there's a lot of like that. And so first of all, we look at their past dating history. Like we review the past dating history and we see what the patterns are. And we see what the patterns of the behavior, their own behavior is. Like a lot of times, women want to focus on what he did,
Sure.
And that's fine, I guess, but it's not going to get you where you want to go.
Right.
So the more important thing is to look at what did you do, and what were your reactions and behaviors, and where did it get you, and then what is your new pattern of like, what is the opposite of that, or what are the new behaviors that you want to embody to get you where you want to go. And then we also create a vision of who you want to date. So what are the important qualities that you want in a person? And it shouldn't be like a laundry list.
Right.
That won't work either. But like, what are the core qualities you want to see in somebody? And then especially for introverts, we look at like, because they can get like, introverted women can get very bogged down by the whole dating experience and they just want to quit. Right. So if something happens, it doesn't go exactly as they hoped. And then like, they just say, forget it. Like they just want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right. And so my job is like to help them look at like, okay, well, maybe this didn't go as you hoped. But what was good about this experience? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about what you want? Can we look past this and see that this person had a lot of the qualities you want, but it just didn't work out for whatever reason. So we try to keep the momentum going and also like manage the energy, because instead of like just bailing and taking your profile down, or like, can we just take a little break? Okay, take your profile off for 5 days, or whatever, a weekend, and then just like regroup, like do what you need to do to practice self-care. So we look at like, how can we practice self-care and keep up our stamina, because it does take some stamina to continue to date, you know. But the thing is, like you said, like if he's not going to just show up in your living room, so,
right.
Yeah. So then we create like a dating plan.
Right.
So how you want to be, who you want to date, and how you're going to get there.
Right.
And then I keep my clients accountable for that. So that's kind of like the process. And definitely there's a lot of like law of attraction stuff in there, because self-love is key.
Right. Right. For sure. So you were saying something, and it was just something was popping to mind, and I'm just going to try and see if I can grab it again, because I think it's just right there.
Reviewing the past dating history, the patterns, the new vision.
Right.
the qualities of a man.
Like, oh yeah. So the qualities of the man, but also, I think it's also when somebody shows up and then it doesn't work out, but they had lots of those qualities. One of the things I always mention to my clients is like, but that shows you what's possible, right? So that guy's not the match. He's not the right match, and that's okay. It just shows you that there is other possibilities out there. So where before, when you start, there may not be, you may have not felt like there was anybody out there that like that. So yeah, it's just like, look, you've been shown what's possible. It's time to keep going forward, right?
Yeah, I've heard it referred to as like they're like driftwood. Like if you're lost at sea and you're trying to find land and you see a piece of driftwood, it's like that land is close by.
Okay.
So that's
I
kind
like
of
that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, and so, and also the qualities too, one of the things that I always mention to my clients too, is that look for those qualities and then start appreciating that, not only in yourself, but in your friends and family, and like everybody that you see. If there's a quality that you're wanting in a relationship or somebody that you want to date, then start noticing it elsewhere, because like attracts like, right? So the more that you're in that energy, the more you attract more of that in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, so those are the steps that you've gone through, that you take people through, that you were just mentioning.
Yeah. So it's like a process to kind of get clarity on what you've done, what you're doing, how can you change what you're doing? Because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
So can you tell us kind of like because I want people to kind of be able to connect in with this. So can you tell us kind of like a horror story of what kind of like the worst things that happen, or one of the worst things that, or people think are going to happen? And then what are the kind of the best case scenarios that you've seen happen for people?
Yeah. So, I've definitely heard horror stories. Like people come to me like, like some women have been so kind of desperate for love and a relationship, and like they'll follow some dating advice that's out there, and it'll work to a certain extent. Like they'll connect with a guy who's kind of like telling them what they want to hear. And they're like using their tips from some advice they've gotten, like, what's the right thing to say, and like make sure he wants to be in a relationship, and ask him, like, does he want to be in a relationship up front? And, and I just remember this one woman, like she did all that and he was kind of playing along, but basically what was going on was like he was saying one thing, but his actions weren't matching his words.
Right.
So that's definitely one thing that you want to look for, is like, are their actions matching their words, you know? So she was just kind of listening to the words, but not really relating them to what he was doing, or, kind of denying it because she wanted the relationship so badly. So, so that's why I think like self-love is super important, you know?
Right.
Because that's like that'll keep you out of those like low self-esteem behaviors.
Right.
I mean, building self-esteem is definitely key.
Sure.
Yeah. So like, so then what happened to her is like, she wound up like really falling for this guy, and he just wasn't available, and she wound up breaking up with him, believe it or not.
Yay.
I mean, they were exclusive, but it was exclusive, like sex, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a relationship. So that's the trap, I think, that's a lot of women fall into these days with this, easy online dating. And
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's always been the case, right? Is that, you hear what you want to hear, right? And so you don't pay attention to the red flags, and you don't trust yourself, right? So so in addition to what you do, I always I recommend to people get that book, he's not that into you. He
Oh.
says, because I read it.
I haven't read that book. But.
It's actually it's brilliant, and I read it years after. I mean, after I'd been with Jeff, but I just had a number of people that when I was coaching, I just had a number of people come to me and with dating stuff, and it's like, okay, and I got the book when it came out. Very different from the movie. It is different from the movie, but it's so practical in the fact that my experience in dating, it was so, and the difference between meeting Jeff compared to, all the other, doofuses, you know who you are, that I dated. It was just it was very clear. It was very, very clear mark where it's like, okay, you can tell. So it's about trusting yourself. So like you said, in terms of self-esteem, it's growing your self-esteem so you actually trust yourself, right? And feel good enough about yourself to, this person isn't good enough for me, right? And so
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like I always think like that's the other thing, like a lot of women are focusing, I see this a lot, on like, well, does he like me? You know? It's like, well, do you like him?
Yes.
And why? Why do you like him?
Yeah.
Do you like being treated this way? You
right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things is I've coached a number of gals around dating, and the things, again, is just like the big aha moment was like, you can choose. Oh, I don't have to be chosen. Yeah. No, you can choose. And so
that's a big switch that I work with on a lot of my clients is get out of that mindset. It's a mindset, you know, and I feel like culture helps women stay there.
Absolutely.
And it's something we have to really guard against, like,
yeah.
For a lot of things, not just romance,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that you're worthy actually to choose what you want and not have to wait, and you're not a victim of circumstances or just what is. You actually can create those possibilities, right? So, so when the guy shows up and he's not, like you say, his words and his actions aren't quite melding, then you can you can actually trust yourself and go, no, I don't think so. We're not a match, right?
And also, staying with that person is holding you back from the guy who could be out there, who could be ready to give you what you need and be like the total package. And, and luckily I've seen that happen as well. Like I've seen women who, were really dedicated to themselves first, like put themselves first, were ready to do the work to really like look and see like where they were, how they were behaving in the past, like how could they change their behavior, how could they take dating less seriously, how can you have fun and just like enjoy meeting people and just, in the back of your mind sort of be taking notes and be like, is this guy right, but not be like all in so quickly. And not be like, tagging him as the one on date 2, like it takes time to get to know people and to see if their actions are matching with their words.
Right.
And everything's so fast these days. That's the challenge too.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember when meeting Jeff, I had, gone through so much kind of self-introspection by that point because I'd been married before, and Seinfeld was really big at the time, right? So dating myself. But anyways, one of the things I realized when I started dating Jeff was that I actually had to do a George. I had to do the opposite of what I was inclined to do.
Yes, that's a good one.
Where I like whatever I thought that I should do, I had to kind of step back and go, is that actually what I need to do, right? So it is about trusting yourself, but it's also, like you say, changing patterns, changing what your automatic reactions are and responding rather than reacting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's lots of times I had to step back and go, because he was too good to be true. And that was my whole thing. That was my story at the time. It's like, he's too good to be true. Can't be, And I kept looking for faults.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't find enough.
No, I didn't. No. Although there was a couple of times it was close, but no, no, it was, but here's the thing with everybody, if you keep looking for faults, you're always going to find them, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So you have to determine whether or not it's a game changer for you or not, right? So
right. That's why I tell my ladies to just pick a few key, qualities that you really have to have.
Yeah.
And, look for those only, because if you have a whole laundry list, forget it.
Well, sure. Yeah. And if you think even in terms, again, of just the, the law of attraction and if the universe is actually trying to match up that list, you're going to be waiting a lot longer. Right. So it's like, okay, here's a laundry list. This, and this. It's like, really, is that a game changer? If somebody showed up that had all these key things, is that going to do? Or are you really going to, toss them out the door because they don't have these other things, which probably, are they really that important? So, but yeah.
Plus, if you're being like hypercritical like that, it's probably because you're also being hypercritical of yourself on
Absolutely.
some level.
Sure.
So it's all about self-love, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely. And if you're hypercritical, are you actually going to attract other hypercritical people, right? And that's not a good match for anybody.
No. Toxic.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and so on the flip side, what are the kind of the success stories that you've come across? So
yeah, I've seen women who, really focused on the program and taken like the action and done the homework, done the work, done the self-reflection. And I've seen them really start to enjoy dating. I have one client right now who she was like, had 3 dates in one weekend, and she was just like, what am I going to do? So we had to like really look at like managing her energy and, which is hard when you're really excited too. That's the other thing, because even though you're super excited about going on these dates, if you don't manage your energy, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to have a negative experience. And I think there's this urgency, like if I don't take action on this right now, it's going to disappear. It's going to go away. I'm never going to meet this, this guy's going to go away. And the thing is, it's like, if he goes away that quickly, like let him go.
Yeah.
You don't have to like worry so much. Right. Yeah. So that's been awesome. Like watching her go through her process. I've definitely had like women go on to meet like the love of their lives, just, by sticking to it and sticking to what we talk about in the program, like, sticking to the positive qualities you want to see and focusing on the positive and, seeing the guys that don't work out as a gift, and like, thank you universe for sending me this person. Cause if we don't want to just dismiss all, everything's a gift.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and again, those people who show up who are really not a match, then it actually just allows you to again, get clear on your list, get clear on what works and what doesn't work and who you're a match for and who's a match for you. And so, it just allows that clarity. If by meeting the wrong guys, it allows the ability to know when the right guy shows up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Well, so
the other thing I forgot to mention is like the first thing I'll do with a client is I have this love magnet assessment, which is created by the school for my coaching school.
Yeah.
IPEC, so Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. So they created this assessment, and it's really just to measure like how are you leading yourself in your life, and what is it attracting in your life.
Right.
So if you're coming, and it kind of measures your level of energy. So if you're coming to like your dating experience, or really frankly any experience with like a lot of victim-y or combative energy, which is kind of like what we've been talking about.
Sure.
the judgmental, the, oh, poor me, that kind of energy, like you're going to attract in like more negative experiences. So the assessment kind of looks at like how you can raise that energy so you are attracting in higher level, more high self-esteem experiences. So that's the first thing we do, kind of see like where we're starting with, you know.
Right. Oh, that's great. That sounds like a great assessment to do. So what would you say is, like, if you had to pick one thing, and I think you may have already said this, but if there's one thing, you know, for a takeaway for our listeners today about what is the one thing that they need to do to be successful at dating, especially if they're an introvert, what is the one thing that they need to do differently?
Well, you know, introverts are naturally inwardly focused. But I think a lot of times when it comes to dating, they can have this negative inward focus of like, what's wrong with me? So I would try to turn that around and focus on what's right with me, and practice. And like, that's just one way to practice self-love, but like, what are other ways you could practice self-love and self-care so that you know, when you're out there in the world, you are projecting like a higher level of energy, right? The other thing is like, start small, like go out and like, let's say you're going shopping, just like make eye contact with some people first. If it's too scary to make eye contact with men and smile, just start with like the mom with the little kid, you know, like, and then build it up and like try to make like connection just with a smile and eye contact when you're out in the world, and just experiment with that and see what happens, you know. That would be like where I would start. Sure.
Oh, that's great. That's great advice. So Karmen, any last words before we wrap up? I know I'm going to get you to talk about in a moment about where people can find you and what you can do with them, but any last kind of words of wisdom?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, you know, don't give up, and don't stop. Like, don't quit. Like, keep going, because a lot of people wind up alone. That's just reality. And I mean, if that's not what you want, then I would really consider, you know, thinking about what you can do to change your circumstance.
Yeah. Okay, great. So where can people find you?
Okay, yeah. So you can find me at missintrovert.com. And if you go there and you click free training, or just go to missintrovert.com/meet-the-one. And I have a webinar that is like a free training you could check out.
Okay.
So it's missintrovert.com/meet-the-one. And it's like a 45-minute webinar or web video presentation, whatever you want to call it. You could check it out there, and send me an email. I'm always open to hear what you think about our talk here, and anything, if you have any questions. And Karen's awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and so your contact information is on your page and such too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So, and the Meet the One kind of goes over that webinar. So, that you just mentioned, that goes over the things that you just talked about, just touched upon as we've been talking today, right?
Yeah, it's basically 5 easy ways to attract a high quality man and meet the one while being your true self, which is like what I think is super important, especially for introverts.
Sure.
So that's it takes about 30 minutes to sit, to watch that, and it's a lot of information. So bring your notebook, because there's exercises in there too to help you on your way.
That's great. Thanks so much for sharing that with everybody. Because I think here's the thing is that it's just not, I shouldn't say it's not easy. It's just that it can feel more difficult than it is. And so if you get the right steps, having the right steps to anything makes all the difference in the world. And so, we have that ability to attract, what we want in our life. We have the ability to create what we want in our life. And so you just use whatever tools you can get your hands on. And I know Karmen has, she's had great successes with her program, and this webinar is pretty profound. So check it out. So again, it's missintrovert.com/meet the one. So it's MEET the one. So
right.
Great. So thank you so much, Karmen. It's been great having you here with us today. And for everybody, just go out and have an awesome day, and just have lots of fun with this. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.